Good evening on this Sunday, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here. I hope you all are having a great, awesome first full week of September here. Yes, it's hard to believe it is already the 7th. And in this live stream, we are going to be decoding on why is the Atlantic in this very odd slumber. Why are we in this? Why are we dealing with such a quiet peak of the Atlantic hurricane season? And so in this live stream, we are going to get very deep. We're going to get, excuse me. Wow. We are going to explain, or I'm going to explain everything to you all on why I think this season might be a bit quieter than what we thought. Well, when it comes to my predictions, that's a different story. I've been predicting that this season would end up probably not performing all that well compared to past hurricane seasons, but it is what it is. So without further ado, let's get started and let's first take a look here at our satellite imagery. Sorry if I did start a little bit on the late side tonight, and that is because I was getting everything set up, because this is going to be probably one of the most detailed and longest discussions on my YouTube channel, which is why I decided that we're going to have to go live. There's no way I can make a video and fit it all in. So that's why we'll make a video tomorrow, because since we got this discussion out of the way tonight, we'll be able to make a shorter video tomorrow, but that for another day. So what we have right now on the Atlantic is what you would typically hope or to see is tropical cyclone activity. No, there isn't. There isn't a little spinner at all other than upper level low activity. We can see there's a little bit of a tropical wave down here. That is what is left with 91L that is not even designated from the National Hurricane Center anymore. We have a lot of sheer shenanigans going on over here in the Caribbean, the Gulf, the Southwestern Atlantic, just not favorable. The background state just not cooperating at all with us as of late, since Aaron and since Fernand. Okay, it's been really quiet out there, and then really not much in the way of tropical wave activity coming off of Africa. The pattern is just so anemic right now, and that's why we are going to discuss on why that is the case. First of all, though, I wanted to show you all the National Hurricane Center here really quickly, and then since we pretty much landed on the East Pacific sector here, hold on a second, let me fix my camera. Let me go to my camera, Elgato camera. Yeah, I'm a little dark, so I need to fix that for you all, so that way you guys could see me just fine. All right, so actually it's probably my shirt and not actually the camera in itself. So there we go. Now you guys can see me a lot better. So here's a look at the NHC, and here's a look at Kiko with winds now of 110 miles an hour. Let's briefly talk about this. This is where it's actually moving towards. And so, yeah, this is the fullest screen I could act. Oh, and it fits right onto the stream. That's perfect. So you can see a hurricane over the next day or so through Monday morning, and then it's going to stay away from Hawaii. So good news there. No tropical storm watches or warnings out at this time for the Hawaiian Islands. So we're not really going to talk much about that because given that circumstance. But what you don't see on this map is there are no areas to watch out there in the Pacific or in the Eastern Pacific, the Central Pacific, other than Kiko, and even the Atlantic. What do you guys know? The Atlantic, nice and quiet over the next 7 days. And one would really think, what? Did David just say quiet? Did David just say quiet hurricane season? Yes, I just sure did say quiet hurricane season. And that is because there's nothing. There's nothing. Like, 7th day of September, the peak of the hurricane season is this Thursday. I just don't see something forming by Thursday. I mean, this would be the second or third year in a row, which we did not have anything form on the 11th or the 10th of September. Actually, the peak is on Wednesday, not Thursday. I was thinking of the Lodi Grape Festival, which is on Thursday, which I'm going to. So, yeah, the peak of hurricane season is looking like a dud right now, the very peak, which is great news. I mean, this is your great opportunity to get prepared. Maybe we will. Well, maybe, as in, we'll explain that in a second. We'll get some activity perhaps by the last half of September now. I mean, it's good in a good sense of things that actually things are quiet, but it really bugs me when I predict something like, oh, it's going to get busy by September 10th and the 11th. Now it looks like it's not. So it keeps being pushed back. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying I'm not hoping for hurricanes or I'm not hoping for tropical storms. But when you make a forecast, people rely on me, people rely on me for the honest, truthful, life-saving information, and things get just pushed back. They just boop, 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 push, and it's getting pushed back again. So at this point, I don't know if it's even going to get busy or not. I mean, it's really, really hard to say at this point. If things continue to get pushed back like this, who knows? Maybe it's going to be October for all we know. I mean, that is really, really, really awkward. Very ironic to see such a really late climatology here. I mean, a late peak of the hurricane season. So let's take a look now at our global computer models, because this is where it comes down to. Is our models cooperating? Are they actually showing something, or are they not showing anything? So we're going to roll through the forecast, and then we're going to be looking at the ensembles. And then most importantly, we need to take a look at sea surface temperatures, because wait until you see them. Like literally wait until you see them, folks. I am being dead serious, because we're looking at some of the warmest sea surface temperatures on record. Yes, we have never seen water temperatures this warm in the Gulf and in the Caribbean, possibly since 2020, since 2023. Yeah, I mean, we are getting into that bucket mark there, perhaps. So with that, let's take a look first at our models. So this is the European model, the vorticity plot. That's what I always like to use. And question is, can you all I spy 91L and what is left with 91L? This is this model. I can't. No one can't. Like, whoa, where did it go? Where did it go? It's gone. It's literally gone. So, I mean, this is, I think, the third or fourth invest that has failed to develop into anything meaningful this year. Goes to show you just how hostility the background state of the atmosphere really is over the Atlantic. Just so much stability, lots of sinking, lots of subsidence, and that's the problem. So putting this into motion is, will that change? That's going to be the question that everybody is asking in this live stream. Will we see this make and break the dead lullness? Well, probably not. We're going to keep this pattern going for a while, probably for at least 10 days. So as we go over the next 5 days here, you can see through the 12th of September, the second week of September, each passing day now, we're just burning time here in the Atlantic. I mean, if we don't get anything by late September, then everybody's going to be like, what's going on here? This is not right. This is not a normal season. I mean, gosh, remember, we've had only 6 named storms this hurricane season so far, and only a couple of landfalls. So what a bolstered season we have had this year. And look there's just not much out there over the next 5 days. No signal, there's no confluence in the intertropical convergence zone, just nothing that really lines up. And so when we go forward here in the next 7 days here for Sunday, the 14th of September, all right, this coming weekend, not the weekend that we're in, but this upcoming weekend is the Lodi Great Festival. So if any of you are watching this from Lodi, California, or Stockton, or Elk Grove, or Galt, hey, come join me at the Lodi Great Festival on Thursday and perhaps even on Friday, because it runs from Thursday all the way until Sunday. So be sure you get your tickets when you can, because it gets pretty crowded. There's over like 100,000 people, 200,000 perhaps that attend this annually. So it's exceptionally busy carnival. Lots of rides, lots of food and stuff. And so, yeah, this weekend, it's going to be nice and quiet for me in the home office. And that's a good thing, because I'm going to the Lodi Great Festival on Thursday and Friday, perhaps. Probably even on Saturday. We'll see about that. Maybe make 3 days in a row. Here's a tropical wave that's really broad, coming off of Africa. And so nothing really concerning about that. Some models do indicate that might have some attempt at developing. The European model is saying, nope, not in my books. It's going to develop. And you can see it remains as a linear tropical wave here. No congealance. We're not seeing any TC genesis going on. So that's good. All right. So we're going out actually beyond 10 days. So this would be through Thursday, the 18th of September. I mean, come on. We're almost into fall. Autumn is this 22nd of September. I mean, literally. Like, wow. Okay. So, I mean, autumn is going to be here before the hurricane season actually is. And you can see why. That the Euro over the next 10 days, nothing. Just nothing at all. Nothing at all. And then rarely do I go beyond 10 days, and that's because there's nothing out there to watch. And you can see here, maybe a tropical wave coming off of Africa, but that's very, very far out in time. And we can't even believe the next 2 or 3 days in this global computer model aspect on the Euro. And so very hard to believe if this is actually going to end up happening. And this takes us out to 360 hours on September the 22nd on Monday morning. And there's nothing. There's no vorticity at all. There's a little bit right here, but just no hurricanes, no tropical storms. I mean, is that it? Is Aaron it of the hurricane season? That's hard to believe. Man, we can't get anything in September. Really, August was our really only busy month in relative sense to our number of named storms. We had Dexter, right? Yeah, we had Dexter. We had Aaron, and then we had Fernand. Well, we don't have anything so far in September. We're waiting for Gabrielle to kind of peekaboo out of the dark there. Now, looking at the GFS model here, the 18Z Global Forecasting System, the American model, and again, showing us something very similar to the Euro, only that maybe something extra tropical right off the coast here of the Carolinas. We'll see about that, but that's very, very far out in time. That's about 7.5 days. Actually, that's about 8 days out, and then something more developing out of the Eastern Pacific. Really, the Eastern Pacific, it has been dominating, and that really begs the question. I really think we're in an El Nino. I really don't think our sea surface temperatures are correlating very much to the actual atmospheric circulating pattern this year. Just not really behaving, not cooperating. There's no coherency to any of this. And you can see why. I mean, the Eastern and Central Pacific have been much more busier than the Atlantic in itself. It's like, wow, the Atlantic is just not, I mean, even the Western Pacific has seen more named storms this year than the Atlantic has seen. So that is really puzzling to think about when you hear about that here on the live stream. Through this 15th of September, just nothing that has a barking spider look. Yes, there's a joke about that that my cousin taught me a little bit. So there's no barking spiders out there on the global computer model on the GFS, which is great news there. Although there might be something developing out in the Southern Gulf in about 10 days, but that's going back and forth. I mean, some model runs show that, other model runs don't show it at all. So I'm not really putting a lot of fate and fame into that right now. And speaking of the Central American gyre, the GFS tends to overdo it a little bit with a lot of vorticity. So again, I'm not concerned about it. No one should be concerned about that at all because it's probably not going to develop at this given time until we get more latter in part of September. That's when we'll start really watching. But look at this, all the way out onto the GFS model, we have a couple of waves here and here, but none of them really get consolidated at all. Just the background state is just not there. Really not asking for a lot here through the first day of fall in the middle to the latter part of September, which, I mean, is it really September or what month are we even in? Is this August? I mean, really, just very utterly quiet for September in the tropics. Now, looking at the artificial intelligence model, what does that show? So that still shows a couple of tropical waves here. We have a wave here. We have another wave right here that tries to develop. And then moving forward, let's see what that shows. Yeah, so again, just nothing wanting to consolidate. The AI model barely has a footprint left with a tropical wave moving through the Greater Antilles, and as well as the southeastern Bahamas by the 21st of September. So that is 3 models right now that don't show any development. And if you really want me to get the Canadian model involved, that's not showing anything either. So there is a pretty good likelihood here for the next even 10 days that we're not going to really be watching much in the way of tropical development. Even so, other YouTubers out there are already saying, oh, we're going to get major development out there in the next few days or something. I would really, really, really be careful on who you watch. I can't stop you from watching that person, but I'm going to give you recommendations that, I mean, what my clues are telling me that we're not going to see much in the next 10 days. And that's what I believe that's going to end up happening. And I'll show you proof of that here in just a second. But after about the 16th or the 17th, maybe about the 17th of September, maybe something will wake up. Maybe the tropics will wake up a little bit, and I'll show you why here in a second. The icon model, nothing either. Just nothing waking up out there in the main development region, which is good news. All right, that's great news to hear for anybody that's going vacationing down there to the Caribbean, to the Greater Antilles, the Bahamas, southeastern portion there of the United States, or Florida. Looking pretty good here for the next at least 7+ days, perhaps over the next 10 days. Look nice and quiet for the time being, unless something really changes in my radar. But I'm not seeing anything, no little eye-popping signals that make my decision change immediately. All right, one model run is not going to change my decision, by the way. All right, we'll have to wait for subsequent model runs to come in. And we learned the hard way, by the way, from the GFS, from our other global models recently that, oh, we thought we were going to get a tropical storm or hurricane. Well, nope. Guess what? It flunked. It flunked hard on our models. So we're beginning to not trust a 4-day forecast at this point. All right, so now when we take a look at the environment, what people don't understand is just because we don't have any tropical development out there doesn't mean that we will see tropical development. Maybe this is the pattern that we're locked into for a while. And the reason why, and there's people out there on social media, I'm seeing it on X, I'm seeing it on TikTok, I'm seeing it on other social media platforms, it's the dust. It's the Saharan dust. Dust is a byproduct of the Saharan air layer. Dust does not prevent tropical development, but it is a byproduct. It is an indicator that, oh, we got dry air coming off of Africa. But the problem here is we have a lot of anticyclonic wave breaking activity. All right. And when we get that, we get a lot of tuts. We get a lot of upper or tropical upper level tropospheric trough. Or wait, tut. So tropical upper level tropospheric, or wait, yeah, something like that. Tut. I know what it means. It's a long pronunciation. It's an acronym. Tut is for short for another way of saying we get these cutoff lows. They do this, right? So you think about a trough like this, right? Or think about a trough that does this, right? You look at your height lines, right? And then they come down and then they retrograde, right? They kind of retrograde in the tropics. And on the southern side of those troughs, you get lots of westerly vertical wind shear that comes across the deep tropical Atlantic. And as that occurs, what do you get? You get drier air. You get drier air from higher latitudes. So basically from Spain, from the UK, the United Kingdom, from Germany, France as well. Basically, if you are in Northern Africa, as well as the Azores Islands, the Iberian Peninsula, you're getting all this drier air and it just filters down, okay? It just keeps things dry down here. We're not seeing all of this, the teal, light teal colors kind of flooding this portion of the tropics, okay? There's just so much brown here on this map. Initially. And so putting this into motion, does that even change anytime soon? No, it doesn't change anytime soon. Look at all of the brown here. We got brown here. We got lots of brown here. We got lots of brown here. Even brown colors across the Gulf and Florida. The background state is just saying, I'm not going to cooperate. I'm just not going to listen to climatology this year. I'm lazy. I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. That is what we're seeing, okay? No, the Saharan dust has nothing to do with why this season has not performed as it was expected to, right? We still have a long way to go. It's the dry air in the deep layers of the atmosphere, named as Saharan air layer, not Saharan dust. Saharan dust is one chunk of the piece of the puzzle. Dry air on a deep layer moisture or water vapor chart is another way we could visualize this. Okay, so before you say, oh, it's the Saharan dust, David, I can blame it on that. Blame all you want on the Saharan dust, because it isn't. It's the Saharan air layer. Because why? It comes from Africa. Most of it does. Not all of it, but the majority of it does. And when it envelops the Atlantic like this, you equal to stability problems. So does that change going forward? No, it doesn't. Again, still too much dry air out here. Really, just, it's good for a lot of people that live in the Leeward Islands, the Lesser and Greater Antilles, down here in the deep tropics. That's good because we're right now at this given point. I know this is really far out in time. This will probably change as we get closer to about the 17th or the 18th of September. But when we look at one single model run, this does not look ideal. This is not what you want to see if you're looking for TCG genesis, if you're looking for upward motion. No, this is not what you're looking for. You're looking for a lot of confluence down here in the deep tropical part of the monsoon trough off of Africa. Another thing that we like to look at too is the upper level winds. So these are at 200 millibars, and look at with what I was just showing you. Here's a great example. Let's go back here. So here's a nice barotropic ridge at 200 millibars. Here's a nice good PVU streamer, nice good jet streak moving across the northeast here. But look what's going on with that jet stream right here. It's going down, okay? And if you follow the lines, the stream lines, this is anticyclonically circulating. So this is a anticyclonic wave breaking action or anticyclonic wave breaking activity that is in the Atlantic. A lot of people don't understand this very well, and that's why they are still predicting some YouTubers out there. I'm not going to name those YouTubers out, still thinking that in a week or so we're going to have a lot of tropical activity because they're basing this off of climatology. And yes, you are right on that. But climatology this year, as I just said, is not cooperating. Okay. And that's a good thing. Sometimes we get good things out of a hurricane season. And that's one of the good things this year is that this year looks to be very slow, very anemic, very inclusively quiet for right now. How long will that last? Well, that depends on what goes on up here and what goes on across the United States too. By the way, look at all this vertical wind shear across the Gulf. Not favorable either. So when we put this into motion, you can, by the way, also before we do, you can see a little bit of a tut cell here, another little bit of a tut cell here, getting ready to detach itself. And we could actually see this. If we actually go to, let's go to here. All right, hold on. So there's another way we can view this by looking at winds and vorticity. No, that's not what we want. Hold on a second. Bear with me, folks. There's one that we could actually find. Here it is. No, that's not it. One more. I know where it is now. It's this one. So this is the map that I wanted to introduce. And this is the first time I'm showing this to you all. But this is another way of finding any vorticity stretching in the PVU streamer. And this is in the upper parts of the atmosphere. So this is really high up. And we can see all in here, again, that PVU streamer that I mentioned in this. Yeah, so I'm going to have to use a GFS that I mentioned just a bit ago on the other frame. And that is why we are seeing the shear, the anticyclonic wave breaking. And look what happens again. We get another one. So we get another little PVU streamer anticyclonic wave breaking action right here. Here's a nice good tut cell right here. That's going to increase your vertical upper level westerlies over the Caribbean. Just not really ideal. Just not looking like a favorable background environment for tropical cyclone genesis. As long as you have this Rossby wave anticyclonic wave breaking action going on in the subtropical Atlantic. And this is going to continue for a while. You can see it right here. These tut cells are just going to remain out there for a while. Even towards the end of the model run, we got a really nice good tut cell right here that really gets going, and we have very, very strong upper level westerly winds around that. We have a nice little tut cell right here with very strong northeasterly flow, southwesterly flow here. So just not really ideal, conducive environment all out in here on this GFS model run. And this is the 18, or wait, this last night's run, why are they giving me, oh no, wait, this is the 18Z run, never mind. This is valid for the next 342 hours. So it really remains in question, will that change? And we thought it was going to change sooner rather than later, but it has not. So now it really is in question, will this continue? At some time, it will break only briefly, but will the background state like the surface? Will we get a lot of confluence that takes full advantage of that? And I cannot give you the 100% correct answer or accurate answer. As much as I am a super duper quadruply advanced weather enthusiast out there when it comes to the tropics, I will be honest and truthful to you guys because that's part of what the channel is all about. I am not a certified degree meteorologist where I don't have my AMS degree. Even an AMS degree meteorologist would probably tell you the same thing. We don't know when this pattern could change. Small scale changes upstream in the polar vortex could make all the difference. The MJO could make all the difference to all of this. So it's a very tough question because if you get anticyclonic wave breaking, that is going to really keep the season at bay here. But it does look like on the Euro, by the time we go into at least the 17th and the 18th of September, we do not see much anticyclonic wave breaking activity anymore, and we get more zonal flow up here, less ridging, less anticyclonic wave breaking, not much tut activity, although there's a little bit of a tut here, there's a little bit of a tut here, but not sufficiently strong enough to really get shear going over here in the deep tropical Atlantic, nor over the Caribbean, versus if we look at the GFS model really quickly, you can see a whole different upper level pattern that is way different than what we're seeing here. So we have to keep that in mind, all right? But right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in that regard. So now let's go to the ensembles. Now, we learned the hard way how tricky and uncertain and unstable ensemble models are. That's why we use this for signals. We use this for like, is something coming? Is something that we have to really watch on our radar? Because we can't just use one singular model run. We got to use different members, a lot of different members that run the ensemble, excuse me, to give us a possible outcome. And so what we have here on this map is the European ensemble, the EPS or ECMWF ensemble. And what we have here clearly is this is what we call noise. Okay, there's a difference between noise and actual signal and coherency. Okay, what we saw back last Thursday and what we saw, what's up, Kevin, by the way, Rivera? Love your Twitter X posts, by the way. Congratulations to you, buddy. So, and you guys can learn about this too, for sure. This is noise, okay? There is no coherent signal. There is nothing that really screams out to me. We're not seeing, let me draw all these lines for you. We're not seeing like them all bunched up, headed in one direction. We're not seeing anything like that at all. Okay, these are all over the place. We got some members going this way. We got some members doing this. We got some members going out here. We even got a member that's going out here and going around like that. So this is telling me that there is no convective signal from the ensembles over the next 10 days that warrant that, oh, we've got to be watching on a particular tropical wave coming off of Africa, at least on the European ensemble forecast, okay? This is noise. This is white noise to the model. It's like, shh. It's kind of like that. There's no shh. There's not like little poofs in that white noise. That would be, oh, I hear some poopy noises in the white noise, right? This is just flat out backdrop. There's just nothing here. Nothing to argue about. Nothing that like jumps out to me that says, oh, you all in the Leeward Islands need to get ready for so-and-so wave coming off of Africa. No. It doesn't look like anything is going to develop at this given time on the European ensemble. In the Gulf and in the Caribbean look pretty good over the next 10 days. That's not to say, what about the GEFS ensemble? Well, the GEFS ensemble, by the way, thank you, Hendix, for the $5 donation. I do appreciate that. You can see here there's a bit more coherency, but also there's a lot lot more spread apart on the ensembles. So we have some members here initializing really late, some models initializing really early and moving this through pretty quickly. I mean, this is your wave envelope, potential outcome here over the next 10 days. That goes to show you that, wow, that's a big envelope. That means there's no coherency. Okay. Also, some posts have come out on X, I'm sure, or will soon, probably, knowing the clickbaiters out there, the fear mongers that want clicks and want attention. There is some activity here that tries to develop over the northwestern portion of the Caribbean into the northeastern Gulf. That is also a incoherent signal that we're seeing. There's a mixed mode on that at this given time over the 10-day forecast, so I am not too concerned about it for this given time frame, given the background environment that is not really conducive due to lots of troughing out here across the Great Lakes, increasing some westerlies and some subtropical jet influences here, probably helping to trigger some of these tracks out to sea, which is going to be a given because the GFS with its ensembles, it will point out any low pressure and it will just say, oh, it's going to form, and out it goes, right? Over the Eastern Pacific, there's a little bit more coherency over the 10-day forecast, which is somewhat believable given this time, but there's not much out there in the Caribbean. Let's look at the Google DeepMind models. All right, so this is the FNV3, and this is kind of what we're kind of latching onto. This is kind of what I'm looking for. Look at how bundled up this is right here. This is a much smaller ellipse. And actually, let me turn that off. So, ooh, boy, my mouse got really big here for a second. So let's kind of circle this in right here. This is that ellipse of the mostly tight bundled clusters. And look at the European. Look at that. So what stands out to you more, the less clustered guidance or the more clustered guidance, right? And a lot of you are probably going to be like, oh, the most clustered guidance, David, right? And this is the Google DeepMind ensemble forecast showing us a lot of these members that show development. But this does not necessarily mean that we got to raise the alarm bell, because this is what, 10 days away. 10 days away. That is the 17th of September. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, it's climatology peak, David. We got to watch anything out there. Yeah, well, after with what we just dealt with 91L poofing on us, had a 90% chance it was on Thursday night or Friday, and now it's gone. It's not even on the NHC. You can see it here. Nothing literally a couple of days later. That's why I am stepping back off the table a little bit, and I'm going to wait for a little while longer until we get a lot of consistency, coherency amongst our other ensembles from the GEFS and the European ensemble, and our deterministic models start lining up with this. Until that happens, this is, again, semi-noise out here. A little bit of a signal, but still, really, I'm just not putting a lot of meat and greet on this just yet at this given time. There we go. The generation model, okay. Another Google DeepMind model that I like to look at. And here's another way of looking at it. Again, more spread out, but there's still that signal out to 10 days. You know, and does this get closer? Does this get a more aggressive? This is kind of backed off a little bit over the last day or so. So we will monitor the trends on this particular ensemble model plot from this particular ensemble forecasting system in days to come. But what you don't see is in the Gulf or in the Caribbean, we do not see any tropical development chances. And in fact, there is not much going on in the Eastern Pacific, both on both of these Google DeepMind model ensembles as well. Only the Euro and the GEFS ensemble are showing that signal there in the Gulf in about 10 days. So there is a lot of Russian roulette to be resolved on the models, okay? So with that being said, the next 10 days right now, based on my opinion alone, okay, this is just my opinion, I do not see much in the way of tropical development, at least through the 17th of September for right now. Through the next 10 days, looks smooth sailing for the time being, based on what I am seeing. Now, of course, the NHC will highlight something here if this continues to be a thing in the next, say, 3 to 4 days. I'm sure they'll start highlighting a yellow area. But right now, it it it's a very mediocre signal. It's just one thinks, oh, it looks like it's going to pick up there, but we lost our trust with our ensembles and our deterministic models with 91L. So now we're scratching our head over here like, is this another threatening message? Is this another hoax? Or is this going to be another, actually, this is going to do something, right? Right now, we don't know if it's going to do anything. So I'm going to call it a hoax for right now until it gets closer. Now, what is very much real, and I'm surprised a lot of people haven't made posts on this recently, is the upper ocean heat content. And I've been doing a lot of digging around of this. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm glad it's quiet. I'm really glad we're not seeing any tropical waves that take full advantage in the Caribbean or the Gulf, because look at how high the upper ocean heat content actually is in the Gulf right now. And this is for you, Kevin Rivera, for a lot of those that like to put this on X or whatnot. This is really, really high. This is the second highest ever on record in the Gulf to see upper ocean heat content like this. And this is from Brian McNulty, so a really good meteorologist at the Upper Ocean Dynamics Laboratory in Miami, Florida. All right. And just like, seriously, we are only slightly behind of last year. We are well ahead of 2023 with upper ocean heat content. And yeah, look at that. We were below average slightly back in late August, early September in 2023. But look at the comeback that we made by the time we got into, say, the middle to the latter part of September. Yeah, I mean, I don't say this very lightly. You need to be afraid of this. This is very serious, all right? Second highest on record with upper ocean heat content. Wait, why? Okay, so that was actually to be saved. So I did not put these in order. No, I didn't. All right, so that was supposed to be saved for later. So I did a little spoiler. This is what I meant to say. To get through our long-term forecast, then we talk about the ocean. We'll get back to that in a second here. What's up, Easy? How are you guys doing? Or how are you doing, Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy? So looking at the European here, as far as our MJO goes, and a lot of you are like, why hasn't it been active in the Atlantic too? Well, you can blame the MJO for all of that. Where is it at, you might be asking? Well, it's going to be entering the null phase. We literally don't have any MJO activity. We do not, essentially. So what we really have to kind of rely solely on is any convective coupled Kelvin wave, which there was a weak little amplitude signal in the central Atlantic that failed to develop 91L. And we have to really rely on the MJO, which again hasn't been really coherent, and it will remain incoherent through perhaps the first day of autumn here. Why is that? During typical La Ninas, the MJO is typically more active, but this year it has been in a slumber. It hasn't really been like this, you know, where it kind of goes out, may go in a little bit, then it kind of rotates around different phases, where it kind of does this for a while. It might go in here and then kind of go out and rotate. It hasn't done that this year. It's been really like in this unit of circle which means there's not much MJO amplitude signal out there. And this continues to be the thing even into the first day of autumn, where most of the ensembles do bring this out into phases 1 and 8, but with a low amplitude signal. Probably something that could be a bit too late to even get anything off of Africa, and we would have to look closer to home, such as the Gulf or the Western Caribbean, towards the end of September into early October. So at this given time, this MJO looks very sloppy. It doesn't look very coherent, and there's a lot of members that bring this way over here into phases 5 and 6, barely into phases 5 and 6, and some of them bring it all the way into phases 1 and 2. So there is literally no predictability here with the MJO going forward. So you can say right now that the MJO is not waking up anytime soon. And we can see this on the GFS ensemble forecast as well, showing a incoherent signal in the wave 1 symmetry structure. And when we take a look here, actually, we won't take a look at it today, but before I went live here, I took a look at the objective OLR filtering of anomalies, and it did not show much in the objective filtering that there was a very coherent, organized wave 1 MJO structure, especially over the central and eastern Pacific. And so therefore, we have very little to no MJO or Madden-Julian oscillation activity at this time. Even so, the velocity potential objective filtering does show that there is a little bit of a low amplitude wave 1 symmetry structure that is in place right now, primarily though focused over the Indian Ocean, over Indonesia, as well as over the Western Pacific. This remains pretty much incoherent due to destructive wave interference, due to the interseasonal base state of the ongoing La Nina and interseasonal subtropical base state as well, where we do have a very significant downwelling Rossby wave that is in place right now across the central portions of the Atlantic, which might to be blamed about morphing 91L just recently, all because of that. With the incoming of a downwelling convective coupled Kelvin wave that is getting ready to transition over much of the tropical Atlantic during our second week of September and moving perhaps almost into our third week. That would be through perhaps the 17th or so. But by the time we go into about September the 17th and the 21st, a bit more of a coherent signal does try to show up in our objective VPA analysis here, especially by about the 17th through the 21st of September, where we have a pretty good amount of intertropical forcing or interseasonal forcing that takes place right around the Eastern Pacific and the Western Hemisphere during that period, with a lot of forcing or somewhat mediocre or marginal forcing of tropical favorability persisting through the third week of September. But given the uncertainty here, due to more of the continuation of Rossby wave activity and a wave 2 symmetry pattern with anticyclonic wave breaking, this provides a lot of uncertainty out to about week number 3, as we discussed, with another downwelling convective coupled Kelvin wave stalling out over the central portion of the Pacific around the international date line. So looking at the artificial intelligence model, again, very coherent here with both of the models indicating a strengthening wave 1 signal, especially towards the second week of September, with downwelling convective coupled Kelvin wave finishing up over the Atlantic towards the second week of September, with the favorable phase moving out of the Atlantic into the maritime continent by the time we go into the second week of September. So we can see, looking lastly at the long-term forecast here, this is an ensemble forecast, but you can see still a mixed phase signal here out to the last week of September into early October, where we have neutralized colors here indicating either favorability or unfavorability conditions would persist in the tropical Atlantic. All right, so we just talked about this. The upper ocean heat content that we're dealing with right now in the Gulf is at all-time records. The second most warmest it has ever been in the Gulf in recent memory. So that is a very big concern. This data dates all the way back to 2013. Yes, all the way back to 2013. So not actually not in recent memory, but one of the warmest it has ever been in quite some time. And this is very alarming to say the least. And this is delayed by a couple of days, by the way. But this is well above average. As you can see here, we had we were pushing for the record book, but then we got some trade winds and some backdoor cooler fronts or cold fronts that moved on through. In July, we had some convection that kind of washed things out a little bit. And then guess what? We don't have a lot of convection, and our upper ocean heat content is back in town again, going back uphill again. And so we can see this in the Caribbean as well. Our upper ocean heat content, once again, is ranked number 2 in the lineup of being the highest, almost the highest on record, only slightly lower behind 2024 of last year. So this is very alarming, to say the least, given that our upper ocean heat content is going to still continue to warm up all the way until we get into late September into early October throughout the Caribbean. So a lot of octane fuel is waiting to get released for the latter part of the hurricane season, which we are pretty concerned about. And we'll look at those actual maps here in a second. And then the anomaly here, again, is in second place. So ranking number 2 in the lineup of being the highest on record. Thank you, Hendix, for the $5 donation once again. So now it comes down to the upper ocean heat content once again. All right, and I'm not joking when I say that I'm serious when we look at this. So I'm going to zoom in, but this is ocean heat content. These are not your anomalies, and this is ridiculous. This is scary because this is telling us just how much octane fuel, how much latent heat is being stored in the ocean. So let me get a cup of water. So I'll be back upstairs here in a second, and I want to show you guys something. So let me get closer so you guys can see this. So this is water in here. Don't want to spill this. So you guys can see this, right? Look at my face. Look at my face. So this is water. And when we talk about upper ocean heat content, actually, see if I can make my face a little bit bigger here. There we go. So you guys can see this. So when we're referring to upper ocean heat content, we're looking not just at the surface of the water, which is right here, but we're looking deep, deep down. We're looking really, really deep to the bottom of the glass here of water. So imagining warming this water up to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but not just do the top, but do the bottom. And that is what your upper ocean heat content actually is. So you can see that there in the glass. And I'm going to drink some of that upper ocean heat content. So you bring my face back here. So now you guys know, and I told you this was going to be really detailed and very lengthy tonight. So when we refer to upper ocean heat content, think of the glass of water that I introduced. But, this is a much bigger glass of water. This is like your swimming pool, if not, well, the ocean, of course. Look at these numbers down here. Look at the color. Look at the chart. 180. 180, all of this purple on your screen denotes that upper ocean heat content here is extremely high. It is like we're talking depths of probably about 600 or 700 feet down. The 80-degree isotherm extends very deep below the ocean of the water. Very, very, very deep. Okay. And the deeper that extends down below the surface, the more heat energy you have to support hurricanes, to sustain major hurricanes, intense, violent hurricanes. And then, of course, here you have really high upper ocean heat content. You have very high upper ocean heat content over here in the southwestern Gulf, the Western Gulf. I mean, it is alarming. This is very bad. This is extremely concerning on a whole new level that that we have to take a look at, because now, I mean, the fact that Cape Verde season is closing down, we're going to have to start looking back towards the west here. Now, looking at the entire Caribbean here, this is pretty concerning as well. I mean, look at all this purple, all of this red, this orange and yellow over here, especially towards the northeastern Caribbean. That's very alarming because, again, if we get like an Ian situation, and actually, let me use the NHC for this one because we can look at climatology, by the way, and look at where our points of origin are. So let's look at pretty much about here. So we still get development out here in the MDR, but it really starts focusing itself more towards this area. And look at all of these points here, all within that upper ocean heat content environment. And if we get any development like over here, like we did with Ian, remember how Ian started way over here and then it kind of tracked itself and then it got itself going and it did something like that? I mean, we could see some pretty sneaky stuff, while the waves don't look as amplified when they, where were we? There we go. While they don't look so amplified way out there off of Africa, they could sneak under the radar. And if they can get going and get some low pressure going here and wait until the last minute, take full advantage of this, this is gasoline. This is really, really, really bad. This is like, well, it's alcohol. We'll use that. Sugar, like sugar daddy crazy. Okay. So that's what that is. Well, I want to use anomalies. I want to show you all the anomalous as well, mainly in the Caribbean. I mean, look at this. Well above average over here in the far northeastern Caribbean. I mean, even in the central Caribbean, that purple there, that is off the charts. That is the highest you could ever go. Even look at over here near Jamaica, near the Cayman Islands. I mean, way up there in the 75th to 80th percentile for this time of the year when it comes to upper ocean heat content. So, I mean, it's only building and building and building and building more. And I'll tell you what, if we get a late start here where we get development that originates from over here or over here, and these systems kind of do this, and they take full advantage of that upper ocean heat content, I would not be surprised if we get another Cat 3, Cat 4, or even a Category 5 hurricane this year. At least one or two more major hurricanes. And actually, I want to show you what Andy Hazelton even stated about that too in a X post as well. Because what I just said there kind of will tie into with what I'm about to show you. But sea surface temperatures in the Gulf, I mean, this heat is very deep down as well. It's not shallow at all. So not a whole lot of mixing, not a lot of wind is going to mix this out very well. So if we get like a Milton situation, I'm not wishing for Milton, but if we get something that originates over here and tracks like this and goes like that, you know, or kind of does this and goes across, man, you're going to run into a lot of problems. And the waters, by the way, up over here have recovered a little bit. We're starting to see more yellows filling back in, some oranges here. That indicates water temperatures of at least 86 to 87 Fahrenheit. That is really, really conducive. That is more than warm enough to sustain major intense hurricanes. And down here is straight up like psychomedia. Some of these waters right here are as warm as 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That is ridiculous. That is unbearable. That is unbelievable. And so again, like I'm saying, if we see like an Ian situation, a Fiona, not Fiona, like a Debbie, a Helene, a Michael, a Laura, like these, like the last 2 or 3 days, like systems. I mean, it's going to really come down to the background state. Divergence aloft, lots of moisture, very little vertical wind shear, and kaboom, we get problems. We really do. And I've said this time and time again. A lot of you that I know a lot of you love and enjoy watching me a lot, and that is great, all right? But I really do not like hyping up stuff. I really don't like to cause panic to people. That's not what I'm trying to do in my videos. I'm trying to present the evidence as I see it and extrapolate with what I see to you all. Because yes, sea surface temperatures this warm do not solely produce hurricanes. They do not produce Cat 5 hurricanes or anything. But if we get a hurricane that develops, say, in the Eastern Caribbean or in the Southwestern Atlantic, you know, let's actually go back to, shoot. Let's go back to this map. I hope you guys could actually, darn it. Let me get Google Earth up really quickly. Because I wanted to just clear up anything for you all here. So let's do that. All right, so here it is. I mean, it's its origin points that we really worry about and where it tracks to, right? So if we get something that forms here and does something like this and then gets into the Gulf, or we get something down here, it kind of avoids the land masses and then it kind of curves up and does that. Or we get something that is down here, it kind of takes a track like this, sneaks through there because of the topography and then kind of rides up. Or we get something that develops over here, kind of comes out to here and then curves up and does kind of like an Ian situation. Or the worst case scenario is we have a long tracker, a more lengthy one that does something like this, you know, that goes straight into Texas. All right. It's where it forms and then where it tracks into. Okay. That basically tells us that, okay, the oceanic conditions are favorable to sustain a very intense hurricane, right? So we have that there in place. And that's why I'm concerned about the upper ocean heat content and these warm sea surface temperatures. I'm worried about that in the retrospect versus of it actually producing. I mean, you can physically get a hurricane that does form here and rapidly intensifies and does that. It doesn't happen very often, but it's when they track or when they move over this warm body of water where problems usually become an issue. All right, so the sea surface temperature anomaly, I mean, well above average in the Caribbean. That is a given. We are about 1 to 2 degrees above normal. We are about 1 to 2 degrees above normal across the central, southwestern, and western Gulf, and even in the southeastern Gulf, we are well above average for this time of the year. The only area that we're actually not really above average is in the northeastern portion of the Gulf, where we are slightly above to near average for this time of the year. So again, it is going to be this area that we are going to watch for development. And then when we look at the rest of the Caribbean, you can see it here, slightly above average, just about anywhere you look over here in the southwestern Atlantic, the Caribbean. So there's no problem to see that, oh, that's not why this season's busting. It's the upper level environment. It's just, it's just too hostile. And that leads me into my hypothesis. Okay, let me drink more water. Good well water. Good stuff from the pump. Yeah, we have a well system, and it's great mineral water. You guys will probably be like, ew, well water, that's disgusting. So let's zoom this in so you all can see this as good as I can. So I want to make sure you guys are getting something out of my discussions instead of just like bored. So we are looking at the actual sea surface temperature anomaly here, and we're going to start looking at this first as a whole because there are some things that ring out. Of course, we all know that there's this La Nina. Undoubtedly, this is a weak La Nina, at least in the Central Pacific and in the Eastern Pacific. We have some darker blues, which indicate 2 to 3 degrees below average in sea surface temperatures. And then, of course, we have this horseshoe shape. We have this really warm AMO look in the Atlantic, and a lot of you are probably like, wow, that is favorable, and it is. I'm not going to argue with you all about that. Very, very favorable, conducive background state in the atmosphere across the Atlantic. Without, you know, if it wasn't for the atmosphere, we would have a lot of problems right now out there in the deep tropics. But the problem here is, and this is my hypothesis, okay, and some of people out there are not believing me in this, it's the North Pacific. The North Pacific is to blame for all of this. I talked about this on Saturday. I'm going to talk about it in more greater detail tonight because on Saturday, my stream kept on getting cut off, all thanks to the iPad. Yeah, boohoo iPad. And so this is your correlation right here. This is what's the big problem for the hurricane season. And people are like, David, that's not what the problem is. The problem is we just have too much dry air. Well, there's dry air coming from somewhere, and that is because of our jet stream. Our jet stream is further north than it should be this time of the year across the North Pacific, and then it kind of comes down just a little bit across the North Atlantic. And so what you end up seeing under this flow is you end up seeing anticyclonic flow belting off of that jet stream. And so what you end up seeing is more tut activity that forms over the subtropical Atlantic because your jet stream is too far north. Now, when we look at our global mean sea surface temperatures in correlation, you can see how, yes, when you take that away, most of the Atlantic is actually not that bad when it comes to how warm it is. But you know what sticks out the most is the North Pacific, really, in correlation relative to the Atlantic. And that is your problem. That is exactly why I believe this hurricane season isn't going to play as what people were predicting. Yes, we got the good size La Nina there, but look at what we have in the deep tropical Atlantic, near to slightly below average global mean sea surface temperature anomalies. It's only a little warmer over here in the Gulf and also in the Caribbean and even in the southwestern Atlantic. But as a whole, most of the Atlantic is relatively cooler than it should be on a global mean sea surface temperature anomaly basis relative to the North Pacific, where it's running above average. So this is why I honestly think this year, it's either the upper troposphere is way too warm, which is probably my other hypothesis, but it really has to come down to this blob of really warm North Pacific water that has just been plaguing the basin for the last several years. Actually, a very warm PDO, actually a cold PDO, but like you just get the idea. It's just a very warm Pacific correlated with a not so much in the Atlantic. And so there's a disconnection here. And when you think about this, your jet stream is going to be generally a little further north, just a little bit. And it only takes a little relative to average for that jet to be north. And then it kind of comes down a little bit like this. Okay. And that's where you get your anticyclonic wave breaking action over here in the Atlantic. And that is why I think this season is just not going to wake up. And people are not understanding this. People are not really looking into this. I mean, people have got to really look that the Pacific at this point really does play a role. The North Pacific, that is. Because you can even see right here, the flow in the United States kind of doing this right now. Okay, your flow is doing this, it's doing this, and then it ripples down. And each time that happens, look what we're getting, drier air piling down from higher latitudes. And that in turns, what does it do? It smorfs any development out here in the deep tropical Atlantic. All right, so do you guys understand that? Did you guys get that really well? Does that make sense? I wanted to show you all something too in my seasonal predictions, because some people were calling me out for this. Like, oh, David's a liar. David's downplaying the hurricane season. Well, if I was downplaying the hurricane season, are we going to load actually? If I was downplaying the hurricane season, I would literally predict 5 to 8 named storms. Okay, why is this glitched out? Okay, it is glitched out. I wanted to show you my Atlantic hurricane seasonal predictions, which I do still predict 10 to 14 named storms. It's actually officially 10 to 15. Oh, wait, no. It's not that. Oh, it's down here. This is where we are. So, explore more predictions. So, this is my forecast, and you guys, you go check this out. Literally, go check out my seasonal predictions at this website, where you can see this. I'm the only one that's literally the lowest in the list of the predictions here. And this is the very latest output. And I'm the only one that has my forecast lower. I'm even lower than the UK Met Office. Actually, it says 10 to 16 here. So 10 to 16 is what I predicted. That was made, though, in the middle of August, though. So since then, things have changed a little bit. So I am lowering that down to 10 to 14 named storms now. 10 to 14 named storms for my September forecast. So 10 to 14 named storms is what I'm forecasting, while other forecasters are still on the high side. Things could change, though. Number of hurricanes, though. I mean, the 7 hurricanes probably not going to verify. Don't be surprised if that does, though. I'm going to have all of it smushed into late September into October. 1 to 3 major hurricanes. So I do still see at least one more major hurricane before the season is done. But I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough to get more than at least 14 named storms, maybe 15 at most. By the way, I wanted to show you all something too. Let's see what our stability looks like in the Atlantic. Yeah, look at your stability. Look at this. This is like gangbusters crazy right here. This is our latest stability analysis right now. We are so dang stable. In fact, if you correlate that, we're the equivalent of late July. Literally late July in terms of stability. So, yeah, just a big problem. A really, really big problem in getting development because of that. Let's see the Caribbean. Yeah, the Caribbean is near average when it comes to stability. Let's see the Gulf. So the Gulf is still above average with instability. So it's definitely unstable in the Gulf. The tropical Atlantic, though, is just not having it this year. It's just not really conducive. And that is why I'm holding my... I'm not going too hard. I'm not pushing really too much yet. And that's why I haven't been uploading. I didn't upload yesterday just because of that development, and you know, it's... I just don't see much actually in the next 7 days at least. Which is good news, you know, I'm happy for this. And that means I get more free time. I want to upload every day. But boy, it's going to be hard to upload when there's nothing going on. Maybe, we'll see though, maybe about tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow I did make the promise to upload, so I'll have a Monday discussion out. And then Tuesday, we'll see about Tuesday and Wednesday. Every one day at a time at this point when it comes to tracking the tropics. But yeah, while that looks really nice and interesting, you know, that looks like a little bit of a tropical wave. Just doesn't look like it's going to perk up. Doesn't look like it's going to do much. But yeah, if you all did like the tropical weather, if you all are new here and you haven't been here before and you did find this tropical weather discussion live very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe. Forgot to promote that in this live stream is don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button and share this video live stream with their family and friends on social media. Do you show them the record golf temps averaged, David? No, I did not actually. I can show that on Cyclonic WX. I know you've been getting my attention this whole dang time. I've been actually away. Logan. So the golf, you were saying yeah, you were saying that. Sea surface temperatures, 15-day average. So I'm looking at the 15-day average. Yeah, 30.5778. Yeah, that's pretty high. That is very, very high. That's crazy. That is crazy. And remember, you need 26 or greater to sustain tropical storms or hurricanes. And this is like way up there. Almost, only literally less than a half a degree away from 31 Celsius. Oh, on climate okay, that climate thing. Okay, let's... Do I even have that anymore? I'll have to look for it. I think I have it over here. Climate. Oh, yeah, I do. I have it. Let's take a look. Ah, interesting. So there's two different from Brian McNulty. Oh, you know why? No, that has to correlate well. Because on Brian McNulty, he had it different. Yeah, so on Brian McNulty, it's different. So here, it does show... Yeah, this is showing clearly the hottest it's ever been. It actually... Man, it is not far. Wow, it is not far. You are not wrong about that at all. Actually, 30 almost 9 degrees Celsius. So that is very, very bad. That's even worse than what we were looking at on Brian McNulty's page. Yeah, this is the warmest it's ever been in August 13th, 2023. This is 2024 in the orange line, and the red line is this. So you can see right here just how warm it is. That's crazy. That's crazy. Warmest on record for September. Yes, for a September monthly record, yeah, it is an all-time record for September. It's not even 2026. No. But wow, this is bad. This is very, very bad. And that's in the Gulf. That's in the Gulf. The Caribbean, I don't think it shows the Caribbean. Oh, yeah, the MDR of the Atlantic is not far off either. But definitely the Gulf is just, it's bad. I mean, that, I'm telling you guys, it's not going to take much. 2 days in the Gulf of a system to travel through. That's like 4 days in the Gulf. There's so much heat energy that rapid intensification is more than likely because the water temperatures that are that warm, if anything, takes full advantage. And right now, it's warming at a faster rate than a week ago. Really? It is? Then a week ago? No, I don't think it's warming as fast than it was a week ago. Oh, wait. No. But it is warming. It is still warming on average. That is just bad. That is just insane. So yeah, man, I mean, I'll tell you, if we don't get any more we will get more development, whether that's close to home or out to sea, we don't know yet. But I'll tell you, if we don't get any more impacts this hurricane season, we dodged a bullet. We dodged a big old fat bullet. Because, wow. How warm could the Gulf actually favor, or how much warmer could it get, and how strong could these hurricanes are capable of getting in that environment, By the way, like the stream, you all. We only have 130 likes. Surprised not many of you have liked the stream yet. So, the Gulf being that warm does not mean like hyperactive activity, but I'll tell you, one storm, one landfall, one big problem. That's the slogan. One storm, one big problem, one rapidly intensifying storm. With more fronts and windy weather, the Gulf is going to cool rapidly. Really? Let me see the models. I saw the GFS, but I want to see the actual surface wind. Actually, before we do that, I wanted to show one last thing on Andy Hazelton. Andy Hazelton kind of said something about let's see. Yep, right here. So he did state in this post, love the guy a lot. He's great at what he says. Looking at the Atlantic subseasonal forcing, we have a weak convective coupled Kelvin wave going through the basin. In any non-dead year, you'd think that would be enough to generate some activity when lined up with peak climatology in early September, but that may not be the case this year. It looks like stronger MJO convective coupled Kelvin wave forcing will arrive around the September 20th. Guessing whatever is left of the season will mostly occur with that in the 9:20 to 10:10. So September 20th through October 10th range. Certainly you can have big impacts from that window. And last year showed. What did we have last year in that window? We had Helene, we had Debbie, we had, what else did we have? We had Milton. Yes, all in that short amount of time. I would be pretty surprised if we get more than 3 major hurricanes and 100 ACE at this point, though. Likely to be on the lower fringes of seasonal forecasts yet again. So that's what he's basically stating in his post here, that he's even a little surprised that if we get a little bit more than 100 ACE points, just because of, time is ticking. This is it. We don't get anything in the next 2 or 3 next week or so, which I don't think we are. That's what we looked at. It is looking like, it's basically, this is the chance for America's Got Talent, for the Atlantic to go onto America's Got Talent stage and do some performing for us. I guess this is, there we go. So let's take a look here at the seasonal predictions. I wanted to just look this over really quickly. There we go. So here's tropical cyclone risk forecast here through September 22nd. Yeah, see, this is going to really shut down out here by the 22nd through the 29th of September. We're really going to have to watch what happens over here, though, in the Caribbean and in the Gulf. Looks like there is a 50% chance, though, down here between the 22nd of September. Let's see if that is higher than it should be. Oh, yeah, that's definitely higher than it should be for climatology for that forecast. And let's go out to late September into early October. See what that shows. This is loading slow tonight. Why is it slow? And you can see there the Gulf remaining a little bit busier on its anomaly chances. Yeah, so still over in here, still looks like a chance. Then not giving up over here yet off of Africa, surprisingly here, with a 40 to 50% chance by late September into early October. Interesting to see that. But of course, as this gets closer, this is going to update tomorrow, by the way. We're going to move forward with the next week. So then the 15th is going to move up forward, and then you're going to start seeing October 7th and beyond. The second week of October come into view. But it does look like here, there's a slim possibility. Chances are elevated here and over here in the Gulf. But that's about it with that. Chances are where they should be for climatology over here a little bit and even over here a little bit. So it's not that we are seeing, I mean, chances will be where they should be for climatology. All right. Wow. I covered everything for the Atlantic. I think I did all I could do. All right. Well, anything you guys need to ask me? Any questions you might want for me? Please ask those now. Second Milton, we're not going to say that for sure right now, 100%. But I'll tell you, the Gulf being as warm as it is, I mean, there's always that 0.00001% chance. What are the conditions going to be like late September, Hendrix? In other words. So late September, I think, is the best window, in my opinion, for the best probability chances for tropical development. But that does not mean we will see 3 or 4 named storms or 3 or 4 highlighted areas. Okay. Based on the MJO, convective coupled Kelvin waves, and this and that, more favorable upper level wind pattern, things look a little bit less hostile, we should say, for tropical development during that period. But it does not mean we will see a named storm, okay? I mean, we had this little window of favorability. 91L did not take full advantage of that. David, is it possible we are just in a Gyre Gulf Caribbean late loaded season phase? It is very possible. DST 147, very much possible. I'm wondering, though, with the Pacific being as warm as it has been as of late, if that is actually delaying our hurricane seasons more than not. So I'm wondering if warmer North Pacific waters, warmer than they should be relative to average, correlate with a later start or a later peak in the Atlantic hurricane seasonal activity. Instead of September 10th, it might be September 17th or the 18th. So it might just be a week later than it should be on an average versus being earlier. That's why I need to do a little bit more studying. But I told my friend Logan this, that's watching the live stream, that if this season does not perform as what a lot of forecasters thought, my what is it? I can't even get the word out. My hypothesis won. My hypothesis won with my research and my studying on the North Pacific relating to perhaps inactive seasons in the Atlantic. We'll see. If the Atlantic ends up being very busy for the latter part of September into early October, then my hypothesis got thrown out. It doesn't mean anything. But we will see. Again, warm North Pacific. Let's go back to that one last time. Warm North Pacific, not so much in correlation to a somewhat warm Atlantic. I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's this and this that relate, but no one has circled this area in up here relating to this over here. That makes sense. I mean, look at it. It's even kind of a yin-yang. If you think of a yin-yang, we got cool up here. And let me actually do this. We got cool up here, cooler than average over here. So that's minus, minus. And then you got plus over here and plus over here. So it's kind of like a little yin-yang in a sense. It just kind of all screwed up and jumbled up. That's what it really is. Maybe if we had a rather warm North Atlantic, that could have actually helped out a little bit. That could have helped out a little bit more than not under this type of pattern. So that's why I'm going to do a lot more research, that if we have a warm North Pacific, we shall have a very, very warm subtropical North Atlantic to get us a busy season while keeping our La Nina down here cooler than average versus vice versa. I'm going to be talking to my friend Logan because Logan likes doing all of that, likes doing a lot of studying on stuff like this. So I'm going to tell him to get to work, and me and him are going to have to work together on that. Does that actually lead to a wonky hurricane season? Because then I can make better forecasts, seasonal forecasts with the hurricane season versus other people out there. No, I'm not trying to be better than anybody out there. But, I mean, someone's going to win. Someone's going to win their forecast or get closer to that. And maybe it's me or maybe it's someone else. But I'll tell you, if we get 9 named storms or 10 named storms this year, who was closest? I was, because I was the lowest when it comes to my prediction. I'm predicting 11 to 13 storms. So you're just a bit higher than mine overall, Rodney. You are winning so far, though, David. I am, because we have only had 6 named storms. We had Andrea, we had Barry, Chantel, Dexter, Aaron, Fernand. So we only have had 6. We need 4 more to go to even get us to where 10 named storms are. How about 6 to 7 named storms? Oh, let's not do this. No. There's going to be more than 7 named storms. What's up, Star? Star predicts 8 to 10 name storms. Golf, 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 golf. Oh my gosh, Omar. Oh my gosh. By the way, if you have not subscribed yet, anybody, please subscribe. You guys are awesome. I have not looked at my subscriber number in over a week. How many subs am I at, folks? I am curious. I have been so dang busy and not feeling well last Tuesday and Wednesday. I feel way better. I feel completely good today like I never have before. I was joking. Oh, okay. How about 35 name storms in the Northern Hemisphere in 2025 at least? Okay, well, that's the Northern Hemisphere. 53.4? What? Wow, the last time I checked, I was at like 53.2 something. Wow. So I gained 200 in the last week. That's pretty good. Thank you, guys, for subscribing. All righty. Any more questions you guys might ask? I love my cousin. Nice. Why do you... One quadrillion name storms. Oh, hey, if you guys play the Cyclone Simulator, I think it's Cyclone Simulator. This thing right here. If you play this, you can generate one. Actually, to end it, we'll have a little bit of fun. We'll make a hyperactive season. So load basin. Actually, we'll do new base. Actually, oh yeah, I would have to save it. So current year, the Atlantic, simulation mode, hyper, wild, mega, blobs, experimental, spooky, normal, hyper. So we're going to do the extended hurricane designations Atlantic. We're just going to put Logan. Wait. Oh, wait, never mind. We got to start it here. There we go. There we go. We'll generate. We'll give you guys a hyperactive season. How does that sound? We'll make it happen in this simulator. This is January, so we have to slow it. There's Sean. Look at Chantel. Look at Chantel, you guys. Category 6, Chantel. 7. Oh, she's a 7. Category 7, Chantel. I want to try to get this. There we go. That's in frame. It's a lot better now. So you guys can see this. Oh, actually, full screen. There we go. Now you guys can see this. Yeah, there goes Chantel. Goodbye, Chantel. Waters are about 34 Celsius. There's Aaron. Aaron's up. There's Fernand. can even look at its cone, which is really cool. "36 waters, 36 degrees Celsius waters, 38 right down here." Category 8 Humberto. Oh my goodness. Category 8 Humberto. Imelda. Another category 8. Look at that. Another 8. That's a third category 8 that I've generated in this. There's another one. Wow. Too many cat 8s. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cat 8 hurricanes. Oh, probably going to sneak another one. Tanya might try. There we go. Wendy did it. Wendy became a cat 8. Two cat 8s? Oh, gosh. Huh. Oh, my. Let's see how many we got on this. Wow, this thing became over 240. Wow, Imelda got pretty dang strong. Yeah, look at the ace that we have had. Yeah, look at the ace score. Almost 6,000 points. Crazy. What a season. What a season. All right. So that's that. I think that's enough. A little bit of fun. I'm going to head off, I think. I don't think there's any much that I needed to say. We're about 2 hours in. As always, don't think we have anything else to cover. No questions. I don't see any more questions. As always, if you have not subscribed to the channel, folks, please do so. It really helps out a lot. If you haven't been here before, because boy, when it comes to any hurricane or tropical storm or even winter storm winter storm developing along the eastern seaboard, the deep south, or anywhere in the United States, including here where I live in California during the stormy season, I'm going to try to get out and do some storm chasing live coverage for you all when it comes to winter weather tracking, either here or across the Midwest. Otherwise, for the hurricane season, if there is any landfalls, sometime the rest of this hurricane season, we'll be able to provide those in this live stream as well. Okay, well, anyways, have a great night, folks. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow with another video. We'll have a video out, or I'll have a YouTube video out tomorrow on what the hurricane season is looking like for the next couple of weeks. Have a good one, folks. Good night.